The first time I realized I no longer belonged in my own daughter's life wasn't during some heated argument or after years of silence. It was on her wedding day, when my son-in-law looked straight into my eyes, smiled coldly, and said, "The best wedding gift you could give us is if you leave us forever." The laughter of the guests, the clinking of glasses, the music of the band, it all blurred in that single moment. I froze, my breath caught in my chest. Did I hear him right? My daughter's new husband, the man she chose to share her life with, was telling me that the greatest gift I could offer wasn't love, wasn't support, wasn't even money. It was my absence, my disappearance. I wanted to believe it was a cruel joke, some twisted attempt at humor, but the look in his eyes told me otherwise. It wasn't a joke, it was a wish, a demand, a warning. My knees weakened, and for a second, I thought I might collapse right there on the reception floor. People around us were cheering for the newlyweds, raising their glasses, capturing pictures, yet I felt like I was standing alone, drowning in silence. His words rang in my head, louder and louder. "If you leave us forever." How did we get here? How could a daughter I raised with everything I had stand by a man who wanted me gone? To understand that moment, you have to understand the years that came before it, the sacrifices, the struggles, and the love I poured into my child. When Anna was born, she was my miracle. I still remember the first time I held her, tiny fingers curling around mine, eyes blinking against the hospital light. I whispered a promise to her that day. "I will never let you feel alone. I will give you the life I never had." And I kept that promise, no matter the cost. Her father, Robert, was a good man. For the short time we had him, he was our strength, our laughter, our safety. But when Anna was still just a teenager, he was taken from us suddenly, a heart attack that came out of nowhere, leaving me widowed and her fatherless. The funeral is still carved in my memory, the way she clung to my dress, tears soaking my shoulder, whispering, "Don't leave me too, Mama." I couldn't. From that day forward, my life was about keeping us afloat. I took on 2 jobs, cleaning offices by day, working the register at a grocery store by night. My body ached, my hands cracked from chemicals, my back stiff from standing for hours, but I never let Anna see the weight I carried. To her, I wanted to be strong, unbreakable. There were nights when I came home past midnight and found her asleep at the kitchen table, textbooks open, a half-eaten sandwich beside her. I'd drape a blanket over her shoulders, kiss her forehead, and whisper, "You're going to do great things, my love." And I believed it. When college acceptance letters arrived, I cried as though they were mine. When she graduated, I stood in the crowd, clapping until my hands stung, my voice hoarse from shouting her name. All the exhaustion, all the years of scraping by, it was worth it because she was worth it. Then came David. At first I wanted to believe he was good for her. He seemed polite, respectful, in that distant way. He never said much to me, but I told myself he was just shy. Anna looked happy, and wasn't that what mattered? She called me after their first few dates, excitement bubbling in her voice, telling me how kind he was, how ambitious. I listened, smiling, hiding the small unease in my chest. As the months passed, my unease grew. David rarely spoke to me, and when he did, it was clipped, as though every word was an effort. He never asked about my life, never thanked me. Maybe it was my loneliness, playing tricks on me, but deep down, a mother knows. Still, for Anna's sake, I tried. I welcomed him into our home, cooked his favorite meals when I could, asked him questions he barely answered. I told myself it didn't matter if he liked me. What mattered was that my daughter was happy. But standing in that wedding hall, hearing those words fall from his lips, "The best gift is if you leave us forever," I realized the truth. He had never wanted me there, and perhaps in some quiet way, Anna didn't fight it. I clutched my glass tighter, forcing a smile when guests glanced my way. I didn't want to ruin her day. I didn't want to cause a scene. But inside, I was breaking. My heart was splintering with every second that passed. Had I sacrificed too much? Had I given her so much of myself that she no longer saw my worth? As the music swelled and the couple shared their first dance, I stood in the shadows, my chest aching, my mind replaying the years, the sacrifices, the love that led to this moment. And in that darkness, a question formed that I could no longer ignore. If the greatest gift I can give is my disappearance, then what did all my sacrifices mean? After the wedding ended and the guests went home, I told myself I would forget those cruel words. Maybe David had been drunk. Maybe the stress of the day had gotten to him. I wanted to believe it was just a slip, something I could forgive for the sake of my daughter's happiness. But the truth didn't take long to reveal itself. In the weeks that followed, my calls to Anna became shorter, briefer. She no longer had time to chat the way she used to. When I asked if I could come over to see her, she always said, "Oh, Mom, we're so busy settling in. Maybe next week." Next week turned into the week after, and soon the invitations stopped coming altogether. The first time I visited their new home, I brought a basket of fresh-baked bread and a bottle of wine. I wanted to congratulate them, to show them I was here, supportive, eager to be part of their new journey. When David opened the door, his eyes flicked to the basket in my hands and then back to my face. No warmth, no welcome. "Anna's not home," he said flatly, even though I could hear her laughter somewhere inside. I hesitated. "That's all right. I can wait. I just wanted to drop these off." He cut me off. "We don't really need anything, but thanks." His hand rested on the door frame, his body angled as though blocking me from stepping in. I stood there for a moment, stunned. The house behind him, her house now, was one I had helped make possible. The wedding expenses, the down payment assistance, the little savings I had scraped together from decades of work, all had gone into ensuring she could start her new life without burden. And yet, here I was, a stranger at the door. When Anna finally appeared behind him, she gave me a quick hug, but her eyes darted nervously toward her husband. "Thanks, Mom," she said. Her voice hurried. "But we're actually on our way out. Then we've crossed a canafall, a tea and a mixer, on their way out. Again, always on their way out." I handed her the basket, kissed her cheek, and walked back down the steps with a smile fixed on my face. But when I reached my car, the smile cracked, and the tears came fast, hot and bitter. As months passed, the distance only grew. Anna still called, but the conversations were clipped, almost formal. She no longer shared her secrets with me, no longer asked for my advice. Every time I asked if I could visit, there was a new excuse: work, schedules, too busy. I began to realize this wasn't just about time. It was about David. He didn't want me there. He didn't want me anywhere near. One evening, I overheard him on the phone when I stopped by unannounced. His voice carried through the open window. She just shows up whenever she wants. It's suffocating. I told you, Anna. This is our life now. Not hers. My heart sank. Suffocating. That's what I was to him. A burden. I wanted to confront them, to demand answers. But when Anna opened the door and saw me standing there, her face fell. Not with joy, not with warmth, but with discomfort. "Mom," she whispered, "you should have called first." That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling of my small rented apartment, wondering where I had gone wrong. I had given everything for her, my youth, my health, my savings, and yet the closer she grew to him, the further she drifted from me. The holidays came, and with them my hope for reconciliation. I imagined Christmas at their home, laughter, gifts, grandchildren. One day, I pictured us around the table, sharing stories, like families are supposed to do. But when I asked Anna about Christmas plans, she hesitated. "Mom, David wants to spend it with his side this year. Maybe next year." "Okay." Next year. Always next year. On Christmas Eve, I sat alone at my table with a single plate, a candle burning in silence. I looked at the chair across from me, the one where Anna used to sit as a child, swinging her legs and giggling at her father's jokes. Now it was empty. Just like the space in my heart. I tried to keep faith. I told myself she was just adjusting, that married life was new, that she'd come back around, but the truth was sinking in deeper each day. David didn't just dislike me, he wanted me gone. Out of the picture, out of their lives, and slowly, painfully, Anna was letting him have his way. I noticed it in the little things. The way she hesitated before answering my calls, the way her texts became shorter, her visits less frequent. When we did meet, she was distracted, her phone in her hand, her eyes darting toward the door, as if counting the minutes until she could leave. Once I asked her softly, "Do you still need me in your life, Anna?" She looked at me, startled, and then forced a smile. "Of course, Mom," but the way she said it felt rehearsed, like something she thought she should say, not something she believed. The breaking point came when I offered to help with their bills. I had saved a little, and though my retirement fund was thin, I thought maybe if I helped them with their mortgage, they would see my love, my effort. But when I mentioned it, David's face hardened. "We don't need your charity," he snapped, his voice like ice. Charity, that's what my help was to him. Not love, not sacrifice, just an insult to his pride. Anna stood beside him, silent. She didn't defend me. She didn't correct him. She just lowered her eyes and let the moment pass. And in that silence, I realized something I had been too afraid to admit. I was losing her, not to time, not to distance, but to him. As winter turned into spring, I found myself retreating. I stopped calling as much. I stopped offering to visit. I stopped waiting for invitations that never came. I told myself I was giving her space, respecting her new life. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was being pushed out, slowly, deliberately, until one day, it wouldn't be slow anymore. It would be final. And when that final moment came, when David's words cut through the air like a knife on her wedding day, I realized it had been building all along. The best wedding gift is if you leave us forever. He wasn't just speaking for himself. In some way, he was speaking for both of them. The day came when all the silence, all the excuses, all the hidden rejections could no longer be ignored. It was a sunny afternoon in early summer. I had spent the morning baking Anna's favorite pie, apple cinnamon, the one I used to make on her birthdays when she was a little girl. I wrapped it carefully, placed it in a basket, and told myself, maybe this time will be different. Maybe this will remind her of home, of us. When I knocked on their door, David opened it. His expression hardened the instant he saw me. "What are you doing here?" he asked. No warmth in his voice. I brought something for Anna," I said softly, lifting the basket like an offering of peace. He didn't move aside. "She's busy. We're busy. You can't keep dropping by like this." For a moment, I stood frozen. My own daughter's house, a home I had helped them build, and I was being treated like an intruder. "David," I whispered, my throat tight. "She's my daughter. I only wanted to see her, to spend a little time. Time." He laughed coldly, shaking his head. "What you don't understand is that this isn't about you. This is about us. Our life, our marriage. You've had your years with her. Now it's my turn." And honestly, he leaned closer, his words sharp as knives. "The best thing you could do is disappear. You already heard me say it once. I'll say it again. Leave us forever." I felt the blood drain from my face. My hands shook, the pie trembling in my grip. Just then, Anna appeared behind him. Her voice was surprised, almost guilty. "Anna," I whispered, searching her eyes, desperate for her to defend me, to stand beside me. "Did you hear what he just said?" Her gaze flickered between us, and then she lowered her eyes. She didn't argue. She didn't speak. She just stood there, silent. That silence was louder than any insult. I placed the basket down on the porch, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped it. "I just wanted to see you," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I wanted to remind you of who you are, who we are." Anna bit her lip, tears glistening in her eyes. But she didn't move toward me. She didn't reach out. She didn't stop him. And in that moment I understood. I was no longer part of her world. The walk back to my car felt endless, each step heavier than the last. When I sat behind the wheel, I gripped the steering wheel and let the tears finally fall. Sobs racked through me, years of sacrifice and love spilling out in the form of pain I could no longer hide. I remembered the nights I worked until my hands bled just to keep food on the table. I remembered the days I went hungry so she could have new shoes for school. I remembered whispering promises to her as a child. "I will always be here. I will never leave you." But she had left me, not with words, with silence, with complicity, with absence, blindness. For weeks after that day, I didn't call, I didn't visit, I didn't write. My apartment was quiet, the walls closing in. I filled my days with small routines, watering plants, reading books I never finished, staring at the phone, hoping it would ring. It rarely did, and when it did, it was brief, polite, distant. "Hi, Mom. Just checking in. We're busy. Talk soon." Busy. Always busy. I realized that if I waited for her, For to reach out, I would be waiting forever. One evening, as the sun set outside my window, I sat down with a pen and paper. My hands shook as I wrote, but my words were steady. Anna, my love, I want you to know I have always been proud of you. I gave everything I had so you could have a better life, but I can't keep forcing myself into a place where I am not wanted. I will always love you, but I will no longer fight for space in a life that doesn't have room for me. If you ever need me, you know where to find me. But until then, I will let go. I folded the letter, sealed it in an envelope, and left it at her door. That was the last time I tried. And yet, as painful as it was, something shifted inside me. For the first time in years, I wasn't bending, breaking, or begging. I was choosing myself, my dignity, my peace. Yes, I had lost my daughter to the influence of a man who wanted me erased. Yes, I had sacrificed everything only to be told my greatest gift was my absence. But in walking away, I reclaimed something I had forgotten, my worth. I was not a burden. I was not charity. I was not disposable. I was a mother who gave everything, and though they could reject me, they could not erase the truth of who I was and what I had done. Now, when I sit alone at my table, I no longer see it as emptiness. I see it as space I have earned. Space to heal, to rest, to live for myself at last. And though my heart still aches for the daughter I once held close, I know this. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is to yourself. They say time heals all wounds, but I've learned something different. Time doesn't erase the pain. It simply teaches you how to carry it. There are mornings when I still wake up expecting a phone call from Anna, her voice bright, telling me about her day the way she once did as a little girl. And then silence greets me instead. At first that silence crushed me. It felt like rejection, abandonment, betrayal. But slowly, I began to realize that silence can also be freedom. Freedom from begging to be seen. Freedom from forcing love where it no longer lives. I walk through the park now, watching children laugh with their mothers. Once that sight would have torn me apart, reminding me of what I've lost. But these days I let myself smile because I had those moments once. I gave my daughter laughter, safety, memories she will carry whether she admits it or not. No one can take that away from me, not even David. It's so? Sometimes I wonder if Anna will ever come back to me, if one day she will knock on my door, tears in her eyes, saying, "Mom, I'm sorry, I see it now. I know what you did for me." I wonder if I'll be strong enough to forgive her, to open my arms once more. But until that day, if it ever comes, I live for myself. I read books again. I tend to my garden. I bake pies, not to win back anyone's love, but because I enjoy the smell of cinnamon filling my kitchen. I've stopped asking why my sacrifices weren't enough. I've stopped punishing myself with questions I cannot answer. Instead, I hold on to one truth. Being a mother is not about how a child treats you in the end. It's about what you gave when they needed you most. And I gave everything. So maybe the greatest gift I can give isn't my disappearance. As David once said, maybe the greatest gift is my survival, my refusal to let bitterness consume me, my choice to live with dignity, even in heartbreak. To anyone who listens to my story, I hope you remember this. Love is never wasted, even when it isn't returned the way we hope. It shapes us, strengthens us, and teaches us who we are. And me, I am a mother, I am love, I am enough.